Sarah Chen stood at the communication console and tried not to let her hand shake. The green lights that should have been blinking steadily were dark. All of them. Earth was silent. The core worlds were silent. Even the nearby colonies had stopped. Talking 18 months ago, she pressed the button again and spoke into the microphone. "This is Kepler Colony calling Earth Central. Please respond. We need help." Her voice echoed in the empty room. No answer came back. There never was. Outside the window, she could see the wheat fields stretching toward the mountains. The crops were good this year. The weather machines were working fine. The 50,000 people on Kepler 4 for 2C were healthy and fed. But they were alone in the dark between the stars. The door slid open behind her. Tom Rodriguez walked in, his work boots, making soft sounds on the metal floor. He was the head of security, though there was not much to secure on a farming world. His face looked tired. "Any word?" he asked. Sarah shook her head. "Nothing. The hyperspace relay network is still down. We can send messages, but they go nowhere." Tom sat down in the chair next to her. "Maybe we should face the facts. Something bad happened out there. Maybe Earth is gone. Maybe we are all that is left." Sarah did not want to think about that. 50,000 people was not enough to keep the human race alive. They needed genetic diversity. They needed technology. They needed contact with other worlds. Without those things, Kepler Colony would slowly die over the next few hundred years. "The supply ship from Centauri Prime was supposed to come 6 months ago," Tom said. "The medical supplies we ordered, the new farming equipment, none of it came." Sarah knew this. She had been counting the days. Their medicine was running low. The old tractors were breaking down. Dr. Martinez said they might face real problems soon if nobody came to help. "We can last another year," she said. "Maybe 2 if we are careful." "And then what?" Sarah did not answer. She did not want to say what they both knew. Then they would start dying, slowly at first. The old people when their medicine ran out, then others when the equipment failed and they could not grow enough food. The children would be the last to go. A loud beeping sound filled the room. Sarah looked at the long-range scanner display. Her heart jumped. Something was coming out of hyperspace near the edge of the solar system. "Tom, look at this." He leaned over her shoulder. On the screen, bright dots appeared one by one. Ships, lots of ships. "How many?" Tom asked. Sarah counted quickly. 20, 30. Still more coming. She felt hope rising in her chest for the first time in months. "It has to be Earth. They found us. They came to help." The dots kept appearing. 50 ships. 100. More. Tom frowned. "That is a big fleet. Bigger than anything Earth ever sent before." Sarah was already reaching for the communication controls. She would send a message to the incoming ships. Welcome them. Tell them how glad the colonists were to see them. Then the computer finished its analysis of the ship signatures. The screen changed color from green to red. Warning symbols flashed. Sarah felt her blood turn cold. "What does it say?" Tom asked. Sarah read the words on the screen. Her voice came out as a whisper. "Unknown ship types. Biomechanical construction. Pattern. Matches with Devourer-class vessels." They both stared at the screen. Everyone knew about the Devourers. They were the monsters that lived in the dark spaces between stars, a hive mind that ate entire worlds. They took everything. Plants, animals, people, metal, rock. They left nothing. But empty space where planets used to be? "How many ships now?" Tom asked. Sarah looked. 212. Her hands were shaking again. "Tom, what do we do?" Tom was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood up. "We fight." "With what?" "We have 3 patrol boats and some mining lasers. They have 200 warships. Then we die fighting. That is better than being eaten alive." Sarah knew he was right. The Devourers did not take prisoners. They did not make deals. They came to a world and consumed everything on it. The people of Kepler Colony had two choices: fight and die quickly, or hide and die slowly. She pressed the colony-wide emergency button. Alarms started ringing throughout the settlement. The people would be looking up from their work, confused and scared. She took a deep breath and spoke into the microphone. "This is Administrator Chen. All colonists report to emergency stations immediately. We have incoming hostile ships. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill." Through the window, she could see people running between the buildings. Parents were grabbing their children. Workers were dropping their tools and heading for the shelters. Everyone knew what to do. They had practiced for this day, though nobody really believed it would come. Tom was already putting on his weapon belt. "I am going to the defense center. We need to get the patrol boats ready." "Tom, wait." Sarah grabbed his arm. "Send one more message. To anyone who might be listening. Tell them what is happening here. Maybe someone will hear it." Tom nodded. "What should I say?" Sarah thought for a moment. "Tell them that Kepler Colony is under attack. Tell them we fought as hard as we could. Tell them we were human and we did not go quietly." Tom squeezed her shoulder. "I will tell them." After he left, Sarah looked out at the colony one more time. The wheat was golden in the afternoon sun. Children were playing in the gardens just this morning. Now those same children were hiding in underground bunkers, waiting for death to come. From space, she turned back to the communication console and started recording a message. If this was the end, she wanted someone to know they had been here. She wanted someone to remember. "This is Kepler Colony, Kepler 4 for to sea system. We are under attack by unknown hostile forces. 200+ ships. We cannot fight them all. Anyone receives this message, please remember us. We were farmers and teachers and mechanics. We had children and dreams and hope for the future. We were human, and we were here." The red dots on the scanner were getting closer. Soon the real dying would begin. 3,000 light-years away from Kepler Colony, something heard Sarah Chen's desperate message. Deep inside the asteroid series, in chambers carved from solid rock, machines that had been sleeping for 400 years began to wake up. The message traveled through space at the speed of light. It bounced off old relay stations that most people had forgotten existed. It passed through networks that were supposed to be dead. Finally, it reached a listening post buried in the ice of Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. The listening post had been waiting for exactly this kind of message. For 4 centuries, it had been silent and dark. Red lights started blinking. Computers that had been turned off since before Sarah Chen's great-great-grandmother was born came back to life. Signal went out from Europa, not through normal space communication channels, but through a secret network that connected dozens of hidden bases throughout human space. The signal was simple but urgent. 3 words: humanity needs us. On Ceres, Admiral Marcus Reeves felt cold liquid draining from his sleeping chamber. He had been dreaming of his wife, his children, his home on Earth. All of them were dust now, 400 years of dust. But his duty remained. The chamber opened with a soft hiss. Marcus sat up slowly, his old muscles stiff from the long sleep. The last thing he remembered was the day they shut down the Terran Defense Initiative. Politicians said there would be no more wars. They said humanity had learned to live in peace. Marcus had hoped they were right, but he had prepared for them to be wrong. A hologram appeared in front of him. It was his old friend, Dr. Elizabeth Santos, though she was now just a computer program. She had died 200 years ago, but her mind lived on in the TDI computers. "Hello, Marcus," she said. "I am sorry to wake you, but we have a problem." "How long?" Marcus asked. His voice was rough from centuries of sleep. 412 years, 7 months, 18 days. Humanity spread to over 1,000 worlds during the peace. They built cities on distant planets, they had children and grandchildren, and forgot about war. Marcus stood up carefully. His body felt weak, but it would get stronger. The sleep chambers were designed to keep them healthy for as long as needed. "What kind of problem?" Elizabeth's hologram changed. Now it showed a star map of human space. Red dots marked where colonies were going dark. Something called the Devourers. They eat worlds, Strip them completely clean. They've been attacking the outer colonies for months. Marcus felt old anger rising in his chest. This was why the TDI existed. This was why they had hidden bases and secret ships and sleeping soldiers throughout human space. Because peace never lasted forever. "How many of our people are still alive?" he asked. "I am waking them now. 300,000 soldiers in stasis across 50 star systems. The hidden shipyards are coming online. The weapon factories that were supposed to be destroyed are opening their doors." Marcus walked to the window. Outside, he could see space and the distant sun. Ceres looked like any other asteroid from the outside. Nobody knew that it contained the largest military base in human history. Nobody knew about the ships hidden in its core, or the weapons that could crack planets, or the soldiers who had volunteered to sleep until the worst day came. "Show me the current situation," Marcus said. The hologram changed again. It showed the attack on Kepler Colony. 200 alien ships surrounding a helpless farming world. 50,000 people who had never hurt anyone, waiting to die. "How long do they have?" Marcus asked. "Hours. Maybe less." Marcus clenched his fists. The politicians had disbanded the TDI because they said it was too dangerous. He said that. Soldiers like Marcus were relics of a violent past. They said humanity had evolved beyond the need for warriors. They were wrong. "Send the wake-up signal to all bases," Marcus ordered. "Priority Alpha. Tell them Admiral Reeves is taking command. Of all TDI forces, Marcus, there is something else you should know. The current human government does not know we exist, as far as they are concerned. The TDI was destroyed 4 centuries ago." Marcus smiled grimly. "They will learn soon enough." "What ships do we have available for immediate deployment?" Elizabeth paused while she accessed data from across human space. "The first fleet can be ready in 72 hours. 820 ships, including the Humanity's Answer." Marcus knew that ship. He had helped design it before he went to sleep. It was built to fight entire fleets by itself. Its weapons could destroy moons. Its armor could withstand the explosion of a small star. It was everything the politicians had feared about the TDI made real. "Not fast enough," he said. "Those people on Kepler Colony will be dead by then. The Prometheus is here on Ceres. It is a fast scout ship. You could reach Kepler in 18 hours? One ship against 200? The Prometheus has the new stealth systems. You could gather intelligence, rescue some civilians, buy time until the fleet arrives." Marcus thought about Sarah Chen's message. He thought about 50,000 farmers and teachers and children who were about to die because they believed peace would protect them. "Prep the Prometheus. I want a crew of volunteers only. Tell them this will probably be a one-way mission. Marcus, you should know that other TDI bases are reporting successful wake-ups. Admiral Torres at Wolf 359, General Kim at Proxima Centauri, Admiral Okofer at Tau Ceti. The old team is coming back together." Marcus felt something he had not felt in for centuries. Hope all over human space. In secret bases hidden on dead moons and empty asteroids, warriors were waking up. Men and women who had volunteered to sleep until humanity needed them again. They had given up their lives, their families, their chance at normal happiness because someone had to. Stand guard in the dark. The politicians thought nobody would come when the monsters finally arrived. They thought humanity had grown soft and peaceful and helpless. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "Send a message to all TDI commanders," Marcus said. "Tell them the sleepers are awake. Tell them we have work to do." The Prometheus launched. From Ceres 6 hours later, behind it the largest military mobilization in human history was beginning. Ships that were supposed to be myths were coming out of hidden docks. Weapons that were supposed to be destroyed were being loaded onto fighters. Soldiers who were supposed to be dead were putting on armor and checking their guns. Marcus watched. The stars go by through the ship's window. Somewhere out there, Sarah Chen and her people were fighting for their lives. They thought nobody was coming to help them. They were wrong. Sarah Chen crawled through the dark tunnel, her knees scraping against rough rock. Behind her, 20 children followed in silence. The youngest was only 4 years old. The oldest was 12. All of them were scared, but they did not cry. They had learned not to make noise. Above them, the Devourers were tearing apart the surface of Kepler Colony. Sarah could hear the distant rumble of their machines. They had started with the orbital stations, turning them into scrap metal and dust. Then they moved to the cities, nice houses where families lived, the schools where children learned, the hospitals where sick people got better. All gone now. Sarah reached a wider part of the tunnel and stopped. The children gathered around her in the small space. She took out a tiny flashlight and shone it on the map in her hands. "We are here," she whispered, pointing to a spot on the paper. "The deep caves are 2 more hours that way. There's food and water there. Medicine, too." A little girl named Emma tugged on Sarah's sleeve. "When can we go home?" she asked. Sarah looked at the child's dirty face. Emma's parents were dead. Her house was gone. Her toys and books and everything she loved had been eaten by the aliens. But Sarah could not tell her that. "Soon," Sarah lied. "Just need to hide a little longer." They started moving again. The tunnel sloped downward into the heart of the mountain. Tom Rodriguez had found these caves years ago while looking for mineral deposits. He said they went down for miles, deep enough that the Devourers might not find them. Sarah hoped he was right. 2,000 people were hiding in caves throughout the mountain range. It was all that remained of 50,000 colonists. Meanwhile, far away in space, Admiral Marcus Reeves stood on the bridge of the Prometheus and watched Kepler Colony burn. His ship was hidden behind the planet's moon, invisible to Devourer sensors. But he could see everything through his long-range cameras. Devourer ships looked like giant insects made of metal and flesh. They had no smooth lines or pretty colors like human ships. They were built only for one purpose: to consume everything they found. "How many people are still alive down there?" Marcus asked. Lieutenant Park, his communications officer, checked her screens. "We are picking up life signs from the mountain caves. Maybe 2,000 survivors. But the signals are weak. They are going deeper underground." Marcus clenched his jaw. 48,000 people had died in the last 12 hours? Farmers and teachers and shopkeepers who had never hurt anyone? The Devourers had killed them all without mercy. "Any word from the fleet?" Marcus asked. "Admiral Torres reports the Wolf 359 battle group will arrive in 40 hours. General Kim's ships from Proxima are 60 hours out. The main fleet from Sol System is still gathering forces." Cass did not like those numbers. In 40 hours, the Devourers would be finished with Kepler Colony. They would move on to the next world, and the next. "How many more people would die while the TDI fleets traveled across space?" Sir Park said suddenly. "I'm getting a transmission." From Earth, Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Yes, sir." "It is President Walsh. She says she knows about the TDI. She wants to talk to you." Marcus had expected this. The TDI could not mobilize across 50 star systems without someone noticing. The current government of Earth was probably very surprised to learn that hundreds of secret military bases still existed. "Put her through," Marcus said. The main screen flickered. President Walsh appeared, sitting in the Oval Office on Earth. She was a small woman with gray hair and angry eyes. Behind her, Marcus could see worried advisors whispering to each other. "Admiral Reeves," she said. "I thought you were dead." "I was sleeping, Madam President. Now I am awake. You have no authority to mobilize military forces." The TDI was disbanded. "By order of the Global Parliament 400 years ago?" Marcus smiled coldly. "The TDI was never under your authority, Madam President. We answer to a higher calling. You answer to the human government. I answer to humanity itself. Right now, humanity is under attack. My job is to stop that attack." President Walsh leaned forward. "You are talking about starting a war. We should try to communicate with these aliens. Maybe we can find a peaceful solution." Marcus pointed at the screen showing Kepler Colony. Fires burned across the continents. Alien machines stripped away forests and mountains. They are eating an entire world, Madam President. "What exactly would you like to discuss with them, Admiral? I am ordering you to stand down. Bring your forces to Earth so we can discuss this properly." No, the word hung in the air between them. President Walsh looked shocked. She was used to people following her orders. "This is treason," she said. "This is survival," Marcus replied. "Madame President, in the next few days, you will see things that will terrify you. You will learn what the TDI has been building in secret. You will understand why we exist. When that happens, you have two choices. You can try to stop us, or you can give us the authority to do what needs to be done." Before the president could reply, Marcus cut the transmission. He had more important things to worry about than politicians. Lieutenant Park was studying her, instruments with a worried expression. "Sir, I am detecting more Devourer fleets. Multiple systems. They're not just attacking Kepler colony." "How many systems?" 6 confirmed. "Maybe more." "This is not a raid, sir. It's an invasion." Marcus felt ice in his stomach. If the Devourers were attacking multiple worlds at once, they had been planning this for a long time. They were not just looking for food. They were trying to destroy human civilization completely. "Send a priority message to all TDI commanders," Marcus ordered. "Tell them the situation is worse than we thought. Tell them to prepare for total war." On Earth, President Walsh stared at the blank screen where Admiral Reeves had been. Around her, military advisors were shouting into phones. Scientists were pulling up reports about the mysterious TDI bases that were appearing on sensors throughout. "Human space. How many ships do they have?" Walsh asked General Brooks, her military advisor. Brooks looked pale. "We do not know, Madam President. Our estimates say maybe a few hundred vessels. But these are ships built with technology we have never seen before. Some of them are the size of cities." "Cities, yes, ma'am." The ship called Humanity's Answer is 40 kilometers long. Its weapons could destroy entire fleets. And that is just one ship. Walsh felt the world changing around her. For 400 years, humans had lived in peace. They had built beautiful cities and made art and explored the stars. They had almost forgotten that monsters existed in the universe. Now the monsters had found them. And the only people who could fight the monsters were other monsters. Humans who had chosen to become weapons instead of artists. Who had slept in the dark spaces between worlds, waiting for this terrible day? General Brooks Walsh said quietly. "Give Admiral Reeves whatever he wants." Back on the Prometheus, Marcus watched the Devourer ships continue their work. Soon, they would finish consuming Kepler colony, then they would move to the next world. But they would not find helpless farmers there. They would find the TDI waiting for them. Ships built for war. Soldiers trained for killing. Weapons that could crack. Planets. The Devourers thought they were hunting sheep. They were about to discover they had awakened wolves. 20 TDI ships dropped out of hyperspace above Kepler colony like avenging angels. Admiral Marcus Reeves stood on the bridge of Humanity's Answer and felt rage burning in his chest. The planet below looked like a corpse. Half the northern continent was gone, stripped down to bare rock. The oceans were turning black as Devourer machines poisoned the water. "Life signs?" Marcus asked. 30,000 people still alive in the mountain caves, Lieutenant Park reported. "They are going deeper underground. Aliens have not found them yet." Marcus looked at the tactical display. 200 Devourer ships surrounded the planet, like vultures. Each one was the size of a city block, covered in weapons and hungry for destruction. His 20 ships looked tiny by comparison. "Sir," Captain Hayes said quietly, "those are not good odds." Marcus smiled grimly. "Good. I hate easy fights." The TDI ships were not like the peaceful vessels that most humans knew. Humanity's Answer was 40 kilometers long and built like a weapon. Its hull was made from metal that could survive the heart of a star. Its main guns could crack moons. The other ships in the fleet were smaller but just as deadly. "All ships battle formation Alpha," Marcus ordered. "Target the ships closest to the planet. We need to give those people on the ground some breathing room." The Devourer fleet noticed the newcomers and began turning toward them. Their ships moved like living things, twisting and flowing through space. Biomechanical weapons opened like flowers made of death. Marcus watched them come. Fire. The first salvo from Humanity's Answer lit up space like a new sun. Beams of pure energy reached across millions of kilometers and touched 3 Devourer ships. They did not explode. They simply stopped existing, turned into clouds of hot gas and scattered atoms. The other TDI ships opened fire at the same time. Missiles that bent space and time around them, particle beams that could cut through any armor, gravity bombs that crushed enemy vessels into dense balls of metal. In 30 seconds, 50 Devourer's ships were destroyed. The aliens responded with fury. They swarmed toward the TDI fleet like angry insects. Their weapons fired streams of acid that could eat through any normal armor, bioelectric discharges that scrambled computer systems, living missiles that hunted targets and burrowed through hulls. But the TDI ships had been built for this kind of fight. They danced through space, too fast for the clumsy Devourer vessels. To catch, their shields turned aside attacks that would have destroyed normal ships. When the aliens got too close, point defense systems filled space with deadly fire. Marcus watched the battle with cold satisfaction. His people had been asleep for 400 years, but they had not forgotten how to fight. Every TDI captain was a master of war. Every crew had trained for battles like this one. "Sir, the Thunder of Earth is taking heavy damage," Park reported. Marcus looked at the tactical display. Captain Morrison's ship was surrounded by 6 Devourer vessels. Her hull was breached in 3 places. Life support was failing. "Morrison, get out of there," Marcus ordered. "Negative, Admiral. I still have weapons. I can take a few more of them with me." Marcus closed his eyes. Morrison had a husband and 2 children when she went to sleep. They were dust now, but her duty remained. "Make it count, Captain." The Thunder of Earth exploded like a small star. The blast took 4 Devourer ships with it. All across the battle zone, TDI ships were fighting and dying. The odds were too great, even for warriors like these. Marcus counted his losses. 7 ships destroyed, 6 more badly damaged. They'd killed over 100 alien vessels, but there were still too many left. Admiral Park said urgently, "I'm detecting massive hyperspace distortions. Something big is coming." Marcus felt hope rising in his chest. "How big, sir?" "It looks like the entire Wolf 359 battle group. 60 ships." New ships began appearing in space around Kepler Colony. These were not the sleek vessels of the first wave. These were dreadnoughts and battleships, each one bristling with weapons. Admiral Torres had arrived with reinforcements. The Devourer fleet suddenly found itself caught between 2 forces. The surviving ships from Marcus's fleet struck from one side while Torres attacked from the other. The aliens tried to retreat, but there was nowhere to run. What followed was not a battle, but a slaughter. The TDI ships had waited 400 years for this moment. They unleashed weapons that bent the laws of physics. Singularity torpedoes that created tiny black holes, quantum disruptors that made enemy ships forget they existed, cannons that drove alien crews insane with visions of human rage. In 1 hour, the Devourer fleet over Kepler Colony was completely destroyed. Not a single alien ship escaped. Marcus stood in the shuttle bay of humanities, answer and watched rescue teams prepare for deployment. The battle was won, but the real work was just beginning. 30,000 people were still trapped in caves below ground. The planet's surface was poisoned and burned. It would take years to make Kepler Colony livable again. Sarah Chen stood beside him, her clothes dirty from weeks of hiding underground. She had been one of the first people rescued from the caves. Her face was thin, and her eyes were haunted, but she was alive. "How many people did you lose?" she asked quietly. 7 ships. About 3,000 crew members," Marcus replied. "Good people. They died so your children could live." Sarah nodded. She understood the cost of survival. The Devourers. "Are they gone?" Marcus looked out at the stars. Long-range sensors were showing him things that made his blood run cold. The attack on Kepler Colony had been just the beginning. Devourer fleets were hitting human worlds throughout the galaxy. Dozens of systems. Millions of people. "This was just one fleet," he said. "Intelligence reports suggest there are thousands. More. They are not just raiding, Sarah. They are trying to destroy us completely." Sarah felt fear growing in her stomach. "Can you stop them?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Through the shuttle bay windows, he could see TDI ships gathering. In orbit, More were arriving every hour as hidden bases throughout human space came online. Ships that had been waiting in the dark. Weapons that politicians thought were too dangerous to exist. Soldiers who had given up everything to guard humanity's future. "We are going to try," he said finally. "But this war is going to be worse than anything humans have ever seen. Before it is over, we may have to become monsters ourselves." On the bridge of her flagship, Admiral Torres was studying tactical reports from across human space. The news was bad and getting worse. Had hit 23 systems in the last week. They were moving toward the core worlds like a plague. "Admiral," her communications officer said, "I am getting reports from Earth. The main Devourer fleet has been detected. It is moving toward Sol System." Torres felt ice in her veins. "How many ships?" "Over 10,000, ma'am? Maybe more. It is the largest fleet anyone has ever seen." Yes. Torres looked at the strategic display. All of human civilization was spread out before her like a map. Beautiful worlds where children played and artists made music and scientists explored the mysteries of the universe. All of it was about to be consumed by alien monsters. But humanity was not defenseless. The TDI had spent 4 centuries preparing for this day. Hidden shipyards were producing vessels at an impossible rate. Weapons that could destroy stars were coming online. Soldiers who had slept in the cold dark were putting on their armor. "Send a message to all TDI forces," Torres ordered. "Tell them to converge on Sol System. Tell them this is what we have been waiting for. The final battle was coming." And when it arrived, the Devourers would learn what happened when someone threatened humanity's children. The main Devourer fleet arrived at Earth like a storm made of death and hunger. 10,000 ships emerged from hyperspace around humanity's home world. Each vessel was massive, covered in biomechanical weapons that pulsed with alien life. Had come to eat the birthplace of the human race. But Earth was ready for them. Admiral Marcus Reeves stood on the bridge of humanity's answer and watched the enemy fleet take positions around his home world. Behind him, 3,000 TDI ships waited in perfect formation. Hidden weapon platforms throughout the solar system powered up for the first time in 4 centuries. The asteroid belt itself had been turned into a fortress. "All TDI forces report." "Ready, Admiral," Lieutenant Park said. Marcus nodded. He could see Earth through the main window, blue and beautiful in the light of Sol. 8 billion people lived on that world. They were artists and teachers and children who had never known war. They were counting on monsters like Marcus to keep them safe. "Open a channel to the Devourer command ship," Marcus ordered. Park looked surprised. "Sir, I want to talk to them before we begin." The main screen flickered. The bridge of the alien command ship appeared, filled with creatures that looked like insects mixed with machines. The Devourer Queen sat on a throne made of bones. Her voice was like the sound of breaking glass. "Human warriors," she hissed. "You cannot stop us. We have consumed 1,000 worlds. Your species will feed us for generations." Marcus smiled coldly. "Your mistake was coming here. Earth is not some helpless colony. Earth is where we keep our nightmares." The Queen laughed. "Your ships are outnumbered, 3 to 1. We will eat your flesh and crack your bones." "You are welcome to try," Marcus said. Then he cut the transmission. He turned to his crew. These were men and women who had slept for 400 years, waiting for this moment. They had given up everything to be here. Their families were gone. Their old lives were dust. All they had left was duty and the will to protect humanity. "All ships," Marcus said quietly. "This is what we trained for. This is why we exist. Then pay for every meter of space." The battle began with light that could be seen from Mars. Humanity's answer fired its main guns. And 3 Devourer ships simply vanished. Other TDI vessels opened fire at the same time. The space around Earth filled with beams of energy and clouds of exploding metal. But the TDI was not fighting like the peaceful humans the aliens expected. They used weapons that violated the laws of physics. Singularity bombs that created black holes in the middle of enemy formations. Quantum torpedoes that existed in several dimensions at once. Psi weapons that drove entire alien crews insane. The hidden weapon platforms in the asteroid belt revealed themselves. Each one was the size of a small moon and armed with guns that could crack planets. They fired in perfect coordination, creating walls of destruction that no enemy could pass. The Devourers fought back with desperate fury, their bioweapons released. Clouds of acid that could eat through any normal armor. Living missiles hunted TDI ships and tried to burrow through their hulls. The alien queen screamed orders in her alien language, demanding that her ships push forward, but for every TDI ship destroyed, 10 Devourer vessels died. The humans fought with a cold efficiency that terrified their enemies. They had studied war for centuries. They had built weapons designed to kill gods, and they were very, very angry. Admiral Torres commanded the second wave from her flagship, Sword of Soul. She watched enemy ships die by the hundreds and felt satisfaction in her heart. These creatures had eaten human children. They had destroyed entire worlds. Now they would learn the price of threatening humanity. "Ma'am," her tactical officer reported. "The enemy is trying to break through toward Earth." Torres looked at the tactical display. A group of Devourer ships was pushing past. The main battle, heading for the blue world where billions of innocents lived. "Not today," she said. "All ships intercept course. Everything we have." The TDI ships moved like wolves hunting prey. They surrounded the alien breakthrough and tore it apart with focused fire. Not a single Devourer vessel reached Earth's atmosphere. The planet below, President Walsh stood in the Situation Room and watched the battle through long-range cameras. She could see explosions lighting up space like fireworks. Each flash meant ships dying and people breathing their last breath. "How are we doing?" she asked General Brooks. Brooks studied the tactical reports. "We are winning, Madam President. But the cost is terrible. We have lost over 800 ships. Good people are dying up there." Walsh nodded. She was beginning to understand what Admiral Reeves had tried to tell her. Peace had a price. Someone had to pay it in blood and sacrifice. The TDI had volunteered to be those people. "Send a message to Admiral Reeves," she said. "Tell him he has full government authorization for whatever he needs to do." In space, the battle was reaching its climax. The Devourer Queen's command ship pushed through the chaos, heading straight for humanity's answer. She wanted to kill the human admiral herself. Marcus watched her come. The alien ship was 3 times the size of his vessel and covered in weapons. But he was not afraid. He had been preparing for this fight his entire life. "All power to forward guns," he ordered. Ram speed. Humanity's answer accelerated toward the enemy command ship. The 2 vessels fired at each other as they closed. Alien bioweapons splashed against human shields. Human energy beams carved through alien armor. They met in the middle of the battlefield like 2 titans. For a moment, they were locked together, each trying to destroy the other. Then Marcus played his final card. "Core overload," he said calmly. 30 seconds. Lieutenant Parks stared at him. "Sir, that will destroy both ships." "I know," Marcus said. "Evacuate all non-essential personnel to the escape pods. Admiral, you do not have to do this." Marcus looked at Earth one last time. "Yes, I do. This is what I was made for." The core of humanity's answer exploded like a newborn star. The blast vaporized both ships and sent a shockwave through space that could be felt on Earth's moon. When the light faded, the Devourer Queen was gone. Her fleet, leaderless and broken, began to retreat. Now the surviving TDI ships hunted them down without mercy. By the end of the day, not a single alien vessel remained in Sol System. Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of a rescue ship and watched the wreckage drift past. She had been brought to Earth after the battle at Kepler Colony. Witnessing the end of the war that had started when aliens tried to eat her world, Admiral Torres found her there. Looking out at the debris field where so many good people had died. "It is over," Torres said quietly. "We found the Devourer homeworlds. All of them. The threat is ended." Sarah nodded. "What happens now?" Torres was quiet for a long moment. "Now we try to go back to sleep. But I do not think we can. The galaxy is a dangerous place. Someone needs to stand guard." Sarah understood. The TDI had saved humanity, but they had changed it too. The peaceful civilization that had existed before the war was gone. In its place was something harder, stronger, and more frightening. Children on Earth would grow up knowing that monsters lived in the dark between stars. They would know that sometimes good people had to become monsters themselves to protect what they loved. They would know that peace was not free. Admiral Marcus Reeves was dead, along with thousands of other heroes. But their sacrifice had bought humanity something precious. Time. Time to grow stronger. Time to build better defenses. Time to spread to new worlds and make sure that no alien race would ever again threaten human children, the Devourers thought. No one would come when they attacked the outer colonies. They thought humanity was weak and divided and helpless. They learned too late that sleeping guardians watched over every human world. Warriors who had given up everything to keep the darkness at bay. Monsters who chose to be monsters so that others could remain human. The sleepers had stirred. The galaxy would never be the same.